There's a movie out there. It's probably a lot of people's favorite movie, and they don't even realize that this movie is about an actual walking earth angel who gave out karma to anybody who came across his path. Anybody got their karma. So, I'm going to tell you the name of this movie. It's Forrest Gump. Forrest fucking Gump is an earth angel. You don't believe me? Stick around and I'll tell you about it. First thing we're going to start with is how long the movie is. The movie is 2 hours and 22 minutes. If you don't know anything about numerology, look up the number, find out, educate yourself. I'm not about to go into all this shit because I got a whole lot of other shit on this paper that I need to talk about. So with that being said, let's talk about Forrest. We're going to talk about how the movie started. If you recall, the movie started with a feather floating down, floating through the sky, symbolizing wings. Angel wings have feathers. So that's what that symbolizes. And then the feather lands at his feet. And we know that his feet are the reason he became who he was and found so much success in life, right? We know that. So now that we got that, and hold on, I almost fucked up and forgot about this part. It fell to his feet. And what's at the bottom of our feet? Our soul. The sole of your foot. Interesting? Coincidence? I think not. So we got that out the way, right? So now let's talk about Forrest himself. Throughout the movie, he was always pleasant, always helpful, he was never in a bad mood. There was a couple of times he got out of character, but each time he got his karma for that, right? He did. And he found success with everything he did. Because once he started running, what happened? He ran his way into a scholarship. And he ran his way into the military. He ran his way to ping pong. Ran his way to shrimp. Ran his way to fucking Apple. Ran his way to just being the best version of himself without even trying. Because he was never really focused on anybody else but himself and living life the way he saw fit for himself. He didn't care anything about what anybody else thought about him. He gave zero fucks about what anybody else thought about him. Because from the time he was born, something was wrong with him. So he didn't give no fucks. Now let's start talking about people that interacted with Forrest but weren't real players in the movie, right? So we're going to start with the principal. We're going to start with his hometown. The principal, the kids that bullied him, the doctor that told him he would never walk. What was their karma? Watching him become successful after all the shit that they put him through. The principal smashing his mama, the doctor telling him he won't walk, the kids bullying him because he was different. Their karma was to watch him succeed and become one of the richest people they would ever encounter. That's what their karma was. Now, let's talk about some people who received even worse karma. Some of the politicians he dealt with. Whenever he came across a politician, something happened to them. Whether it was Watergate, being shot, this, that. Something always happened when he encountered politicians. And he didn't even do nothing but come into their orbit and bring his energy and expose what they were. And we know politicians, I'm not saying all politicians, but the majority of them may be shady. And that showed that's what their karma was. They were getting exposed by him just being in their vicinity, right? Now, let's talk about some of the people who received good things from Forrest. We'll go back to the beginning of the movie when he was at the house and Elvis was there playing the guitar and he was in there jerking his little ass off. And Elvis told his mama, let him dance, let him be. And what happened to Elvis? He found success because he treated Forrest normally, just like a person that was enjoying his music. And that's what happened. Now, let's think about the 2 times when he was running. The first time he stepped in shit and the guy was like, oh man, you stepped in shit. And he was like, shit happens. What happened? The guy put that on the bumper sticker, probably became a millionaire. Still running, get splashed with mud. The guy with the t-shirt, he's like, here, use this. I can't sell him. Wipe his face, boom, he got a fucking happy face. And what happened? That guy became a millionaire. And they treated him with respect in the area of what he was doing. He was running, doing this thing, and they ran with him, talked to him, and they received good karma for dealing with him in a positive manner. Now we're about to dive into some of the supporting characters that Forrest dealt with throughout his time in the movie. Now let's get into some of the main characters that Forrest dealt with in the movie. I'm really not going to touch on his mama too much because she did what she had to do for him to become who he was, and she lived a life. She died at an old age, and she lived comfortably. But now let's start talking about the people that he dealt with. It was 3 people. And what you have to understand about these 3 people, all of these people that he dealt with wholeheartedly, all of these people were generational curse breakers. They were meant to change something for their family's legacy. And let's start with Bubba. I gotta find Bubba. What karma did Bubba get for befriending and being a great friend to Forrest? He got killed. But the reason he was killed was because he gave his idea to Forrest. He told Forrest his idea. And we know back in the 60s, 70s, and 50s, whatever time it was, that there was a lot of racism. And a lot of ideas were stolen from people of color, and light-skinned people took those ideas and presented them as their own ideas. Luckily for Bubba, he dealt with Forrest. So instead of Forrest taking that idea and keeping it for himself, which he could have easily done, he started that business, named it Bubba Gump, and he even gave his family the money from the proceeds that he made to help them break that generational curse of being enslaved to serving people for the rest of their lives. So even though Bubba didn't get to experience breaking the curse, his interactions with Forrest helped him to become a generational curse breaker, which led to success for Forrest and his family. Because again, Forrest ain't the type who gonna fuck over nobody. He was legit. He always gonna deal with you the way he saw fit. And it was just that simple. If he liked you, he liked you. If he didn't, he didn't. And we saw that throughout the movie a couple of times as well. Now, let's talk about Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan, again, was a generational curse breaker. He was to break the curse of his family dying in every war that they participated in. Even though that's what he wanted, once he came across Forrest, that changed that whole aspect. Even though he lost his legs, his interaction and respect that he had for Forrest and the guidance that he gave Forrest led him to become a millionaire. Because once he stopped dealing with Forrest, what happened? He was a drunk, probably partial junkie, living in a trashy ass room. And Forrest, being the person he is, he said, "Hey man, once I get this shit going, I want you to come with me to do these shrimp, since I know I'm going to be the captain, you be the first mate." And Lieutenant Dan took that chance. And he broke generational curses. He didn't die. He got to live a long, fulfilling life with some mucho dinero, you dig? So his interaction, even though he lost his legs, that was him giving his part to his family, and to break the curse was his legs. Him not being able to walk again, or walk with his own legs at the least. So Forrest helped him break that generational curse and become something a lot more positive for himself, even though he didn't see it because he had no intention of living past that war. Finally, we have Jenny. Again, a generational curse breaker. But Jenny, she was something else. And Forrest helped her in so many situations that it caused his demise. Somewhat. I ain't going to say, I'll explain it to you. So we know that every time Forrest helped Jenny, she got out of a situation. Like when he came and they prayed for her to get out of there, what happened? The people came and took her from her dad that was doing things to her. Took her out, boom, took her to her grandmother. Now this is where the problem starts for Jenny. She went to her grandmother, and her grandmother was a witch. I'm explaining it to you. Hold on. I'm explaining it to you. Give me. Give me a second. She was a witch, and she taught her how to do sex magic to get what she wants from men. Yeah, it's a thing. And I'm going to tell you why. Jenny had a Jezebel spirit within her, which led to her demise. But again, Forrest was there every time to save her ass. Because you think about it. Everything started going bad for Jenny when when Forrest beat the guy up in the car, which part of his karma was when she left after that. That was part of his karma for getting out of character. But when she took him to the room and she put his little hand on her titty and he like, oh. She took advantage of him to use his energy to become famous, because that's what she always wanted, was to be famous. But she did not become famous. Her ass was on the low end of that shit, you dig? So for her practicing that magic and not using it properly, shit went downhill. Because when Forrest came back, where was Jenny? Playing naked guitar in a goddamn strip club, I guess you could call it. And again, when the guys tried to grope her, what happened? Forrest came, he saved her, but his karma for getting physical with those guys was her leaving again. And that's what happened. After he came back from war, he found Jenny again. Well, she found him this time. And Forrest being Forrest, somebody do something to Jenny, he putting hands on him. And he laid hands on the guy. And what was the karma? She left a fucking again. But you notice, Jenny never found success or true happiness because of what she did to Forrest in that dorm room when she took advantage of his magic. Because again, he's an earth angel. He carries powers that most people don't because of the spirit that he carries within him. Now, let's think about this. Jenny came back when Forrest had completely, he was like, I'm done with her. But she came back, and what did she do? She hit him with that sex magic again. I mean, the sex magic. She hit him with that again. But this time when she left, Forrest was done. He was done with that shit. And what did he do after that? His ass started running from goddamn coast to coast, because now he was on a journey to find clarity about the situation. Because this was the only person he loved besides his mother, like in love. This was the only person. He couldn't have her. She didn't want him. And he needed clarity. And once he finally found peace and clarity, what he did? He stopped running, went back home, started living life, chilling, doing this thing. More in the lawns for free, because he was set. He put himself in a position to just exist without having to worry about anything. And what happened? Jenny sent his ass a letter. And this is where the downfall of Forrest happens. Because he broke that attachment with Jenny. But once she showed him that baby that may have not even been his, I don't know. His name was Forrest. Fuck, I know a lot of dudes with kids named after him, and shit might not be theirs. Anywho, that's what trapped him back in the cycle of reincarnation. He grew an attachment to his son. And then you think about it, at the end of the movie, what do you see? The feather fly away when the little boy gets on the bus, because he had grown an attachment to his son. And that's what set him back into the cycle of reincarnation, was an attachment. Because that's what keeps us reincarnating, is when we don't break attachments, we don't fill our goals, which he filled this. His was to bring karma to anybody he came across, which he did that. But he grew an attachment even to the little boy that Jenny had, because that was his piece of Jenny that he always wanted. And like I said, at the end of the movie, what happened? The feather flew off, because now he was earthbound. He was stuck in the reincarnation cycle. Now I know it's a little interesting, and it sounds a little far-fetched, but I think I did a pretty fucking good job explaining this shit to how Forrest Gump is an earth angel. If you agree, cool. If you don't, cool. I'm like Forrest Gump. I'm giving no fucks, man. Just living life. But yeah, go rewatch the movie and tell me what you think. Is Forrest Gump an Earth Angel giving walking karma? I think he is.